And this afternoon, a meeting is underway at the Ministry of Employment and Labour Relations over the decision by government first of all the teacher unions to withdraw their services over the appointment of the new Director General of the Ghana Education Service, Dr. Eric Nkansa. JoyNews checks reveal that there were no academic activities in all pre-tertiary schools across the country. Meanwhile, the minority in Parliament is mounting pressure. They want the Education Minister, Dr. Yao Osei-Duchum, to immediately resolve the concerns of the teachers. Speaking to journalists, the minority spokesperson on education says the committee will be forced to intervene if the minister is unable to get the teachers back into our classrooms.
Let me begin by saying that some of us were not happy with the circumstances that surrounded the dismissal of the former Director General, that is Professor Opoku Amankwa. We have worked with him and we know what he could do and what he was doing. But unfortunately, we are not the appointing authority. So they knew why they removed him. And why we're not happy was that this man had about a few months to go on retirement. So the best could have been ask him to go on retirement prior to retirement. But this was not done. So we are not quite happy with that. But with the appointment of the Director General, that is Dr. Eric Nkansa, as a committee or as an individual, we don't have a hand in it. Yeah, so it is solely the government. But the dimension it has taken now gives us a concern as far as teacher unions declaring a strike from today, 4th of November, yeah. So I would rather call on the Minister for Education to engage the teacher unions and explain to them the rationale behind the appointment of Dr. Eric Nkansa. So as a committee, we have decided that we will sit back now, watch events, and then where we realize that there is no solution, then we will come in. But we believe that the minister can do something about this as quickly as possible, because the strike action will not help anybody.
And indeed, the situation is not helping, as JoyNews checks reveal that there were no academic activities happening on campus at the start of the day. It doesn't look like that will be the case. But we can now cross over to the Ministry of Employment and Labour Relations, where a lot of engagements have been happening all throughout the day between the government of Ghana and all the teacher unions. My colleague Richard Kojenyanko has the latest. Richard, what can you report?
Director General of the Ghana Education Service. In fact, in a short while, there will be a meeting between the Employment Ministry and the teacher unions, and we are hoping that the outcome will be beneficial to parents as well as students here. We are currently at the Ghana Education Service, and we want to have a brief interaction with the Deputy Spokesperson of the Ministry of Education to tell us, what is being put in place to ensure that the students do not stay in the classroom without their teachers, and the level of engagement between the ministry and then the teacher unions as well as the labor ministry. So tell me the level of engagement you've had with the teacher unions that are currently on strike.
Yeah, as you know, on Friday we started the engagement with them, and per the outcome of the engagement that we had, that is what has prompted the continuation of the meeting today. And per the discussion and the demeanor of our able union leaders, it was fruitful, and we expect that today, probably, I'm hopeful that finally it will be brought to this. There will be a closure on the matter before both parties. So we don't expect the strike to drag for long. Probably to tomorrow or today, we could see positive response. I'm confident with the kind of engagement that have gone so far, and both parties are committed to the cause. Where clarity needs to be given, clarity is given out, and parties will look at the issues on the table and eventually give a firm decision on it. At the end of the day, both are serving the interest of Mother Ghana, and our kids' future is at stake here. So nobody sits on the fence, and we want to continue where we ended from on Friday, and eventually draw the curtains close on all the engagement. I'm hopeful that it wouldn't travel. Hopeful that even today, probably we may have a positive response and the strike may be called off.
So today we went round and we saw in some of the classroom in one school that I visited, out of the 10 teachers that were supposed to be in school, 2 of them turned up, and you can imagine what will be happening in the classroom at that particular point in time. It's not all of them that have joined the action though. I mean, what practical measures have you put in place? Because yes, you're explaining that you don't expect that the strike will drag for that long time because you know what's up your sleeves.
Yeah, we at our end also have been monitoring what is happening on the ground. Just as you said, others are in, others are also not in class to perform their normal duties as expected. But as I indicated, we are monitoring the situation on the ground, and as we do monitor and keeping close eye on the outcome of today's meeting, that will definitely inform our next move as to curtailing the situation or containing the situation down there. But as I indicated, with the assurance and the confidence that I have in both parties, we don't expect it to drag. Just that even an hour or a minute lost through the contact or instructional hours, time is a resource that you cannot replenish back. Once it's gone forever. It only prolong the work of the teacher. That is why it's important that both parties are committed to the cause. We are studying the situation on the ground, and definitely management will give the further directive if it should stay on, of which we don't think that it will drag. So I want to assure parents, I want to assure our nephews and nieces, our sons and daughters, to be rest assured. And I want to assure my good teachers that when we talk of if you can read and write, definitely you thank the teacher. They are the modelers of our future. And therefore, this issue shouldn't be an issue that will keep us out of the classroom. And whilst our leaders have agreed to sit around the table, we, as members of the unions, will only have to keep our fingers crossed, listen to what is happening within the space, and at the end of the day, the communique which comes out is what we look out for. And I want to appeal to them. Once leadership has decided to engage government on this issue, I think we need to go back, do our normal duties as teachers, whilst we keep an close eye on all the interactions, and eventually see what the future holds for us. And that is what I'm expecting. We don't see it to be dragged for long. So the situation definitely will be contained. So that is the assurance. We need to be rest assured that we'll get out of this.
Was this avoidable? Was it really avoidable? Because very often we wait for some of these things to degenerate into strike, where parents and the school pupils and parents are affected.
I believe you never anticipated this. We never anticipated that. Because we never anticipated
Obviously
that.
They have concerns.
No, listen, once they are engaging, I think we can't delve deep into this. But just as you said, it's avoidable. The same thing that I feel it's avoidable. Where clarity should be sought, you seek the clarity from the appropriate quarters. Then that response is given. At where you are not satisfied, now you use the process in getting the satisfaction that you want. We never anticipated that. And all of a sudden, it surprised. It came as a surprise on us. But once parties decide to sit around the table, then it tells you that there is a light at the end of the tunnel.
But why did it surprise you? Because they kept on complaining that, well, we do not want A, B, C, D. They did it for a while before they got to the stage where they had to declare the strike.
As to telling me in the media, you want this, I don't want that. You know, the ministry, it's a formal setting. And if you want your grievances to be addressed, you use the formal setting to do it. You remember when we go in for negotiations on salary issues, allowances issues, you know how the communique goes and how parties go around the table to talk, and at the end of the day reach a compromise, and we move from that end. But you will attest to it that this didn't come same as we all know. We heard of it all of a sudden. That is why leadership felt that we need to invite them to the table. Immediately, that call started coming. Leadership started engaging and brought them onto the table for discussions to be made. Unfortunately, the discussion couldn't end on Friday, but today we are hopeful that all the interaction will end and normalcy will be restored in our various schools. And those who went to school, those 1 or 2 reasons they couldn't attend school today, I will urge them that whilst leadership is engaging, it will be prudent that we do hear to the call of our students. Be in the classroom and we keep an eye or monitor what the outcome will be. So we are confident today probably may be a good day to end the whole discussion on the appointment of the Acting Director General of Ghana Education Service.
Okay, so Blessed, you heard the deputy spokesperson of the Ministry of Education letting us in on what has been transpiring, the measures they have put in place, including calling the teacher unions for some kind of engagement. So the entire thing would be put to rest. And I can tell you that before we came here, we went to the Ministry of Employment, and then the teacher unions, their representatives, they had already arrived, and the meeting would be taking place in a short while. And as he indicated, they are confident that it wouldn't take long because they know what I have spoken about in the closet, and it would not take such a long time for them to deal with the matter. The teachers will return to the classroom, and then the students and the parents would also be happy. And so we are expecting, we are sure that we would be briefed at the end of the meeting on the outcome of it. Blessed.
On that, that's my colleague Richard Kujo Nyako giving us the latest from the Ghana Education Service headquarters. Of course, we're still monitoring that meeting, but at this point, I want to bring in Kofi Asare, who's the Executive Director for the Africa Education Watch. Thank you so much, sir, for your time. And there we have it, the assurance from the Ghana Education Service indicating that the strike by all the 3 major teacher unions will be, quote, contained. In fact, there's a statement to that effect as well, also indicating that parents are advised to not to necessarily, and I'm paraphrasing, lose hope, but keep up hope, knowing that, of course, academic activities will resume as soon as possible. How is all of these developments coming to you?
Well, good afternoon to your cherished audience. It is heartwarming to note that such an assurance has been given. And it is my expectation that government will walk the talk. I believe that, as I said from day one, this issue can be resolved around the table. We can have a win-win around this situation. This is not a deadlock. This is not a problem that hasn't got a solution. I believe that once we keep the social dialogue channels, open between teachers and then their employers, let's encourage more consultation, and most importantly, let's build consensus on critical issues. Even if we don't achieve full consensus and we have a significant measure of consensus, I think we should be good to go on this. Disagreement between employers and employees are normal. That is why we have mechanisms to address such disagreements when they arise. And this is one of those that I believe that can be addressed around the table. Perhaps we shouldn't have waited for it to degenerate into an industrial action. But unfortunately, we find ourselves here. But the commitment that government is expressing should be enough to assure us that in the next 48 hours, the kids will be back to school.
But then government is still silent on whether or not it will revoke the appointment of Dr. Eric Nkansa. And that's also a source of worry, isn't it? Knowing that that's the key concern of the 3 teacher unions. You either dismiss Dr. Nkansa or won't be back in the classrooms. Do you feel that government has an option, at least, going into the negotiation room?
I don't have that information that dismiss or remove Dr. Ankasa or we don't go to the classroom is the issue on the table. I'm not part of the negotiation, but information I picked up in a discussion with the NAT General Secretary this morning on TV3 did not indicate that or did not suggest that it was strictly either you comply or we don't go to the classroom issue. If it was about putting entrance situations ahead of negotiations, then obviously there wouldn't be the need to negotiate. I think that it goes beyond that.
Yeah, but Kofi, sorry, I'm sorry for cutting through, but if you have a group saying he's not qualified to be in office, I'm just wondering what else that could be interpreted to mean.
The group has made a case not against the person or the competency of the appointee. They have made their case that the understanding of the law is that the law must be interpreted, taking into cognizance the scheme of service. Okay, they've raised issues that are legitimate issues. So the only way to have a discussion around those issues is to sit around the table and discuss them. And that is what is currently taking place. That's why I'm saying that government, as the honorable member of the Education Select Committee said, government will have to explain to the employers and the employees how it came about the decision or what informed the decision to go with the appointee. And so once the Ministry of Employment and I believe the Ministry of Education and the teachers are already in a discussion, which should have started, which I believe has started by now, we don't have to preempt the outcome of the discussion and suggest that it's a make or break, or teachers have taken an entrenched position or government has taken one. I don't believe so. If they have taken an entrenched position, there won't be the need to negotiate.
Let's subject some of the, points they've raised to some sort of scrutiny. The issue about the qualification or otherwise of the new Director General, they seem to say that you can't bring in a banker, quote and unquote, to head the GES. There's a very cogent reason for which 3 teacher unions should be going on strike over.
They are cogent. All the reasons on the table to be discussed or negotiated are cogent. There's a cogent reason that says that you can't appoint someone who is not a professional teacher to come and lead teachers. Another cogent reason on the table is also that you can't determine who the appointer, that's the president, should appoint, especially when it is not explicitly stated in the law, where other appointees' qualifications are explicitly stated in the law, but this one is not. So everyone has a good reason. That's why I began by saying that everyone has a legitimate reason. The teachers have a legitimate cause to have a discussion with their employers. And that is the reason why they mentioned the word they are in negotiation. You don't negotiate when you take an entrenched position. So we shouldn't create the impression outside the negotiating table that they are in a deadlock even before they start negotiation, that they have taken an entrenched position, that it's either mine way or no way. That is not what leads parties into negotiation, and that is not my understanding of what the NAT president said this morning on TV3. He was actually optimistic that they will find a solution to the problem. But don't forget, teachers are on strike for about 4 reasons. One has to do with human resource progression. Even issues relating to the delay in the release of laptops that teachers have already been surcharged for and all that. So there are 4 or 5 reasons that teachers are striking over. It is not just the appointment of the acting Director General. So when the NAT General Secretary indicated that they hope that they will find a solution to the issue in their negotiation with government, which started Friday and will continue today, he gave the impression to all of us, including the stakeholder public, that it is not an issue of one having taken an entrenched position, that it It's either my way or no way, but rather it is a negotiation process.
Right.
So let us really address the issue as a negotiation
but be that as it may, the point about the revocation or withdrawal of services across campuses today is beginning to bite hard. If we don't come to a conclusion, I mean, some material terms on what it is that the future looks like for these parties involved in the negotiation, what then should we be looking at in terms of the decision to either withdraw or go back to the classrooms? What would you urge the teachers to do? Go back immediately?
It's unfortunate in the first place that there's a strike. I keep saying that the least any stakeholder will invite within the space is a strike, because we have a very, very strict, constricted academic calendar that was derailed by COVID. We are now reopening school in early January instead of September. Other countries in the sub-region are still reopening in September and October. So we are behind in terms of academic calendar, and we need to make as much as possible good use of time so that we can gradually make amends and then come back to our September, reopening, September, August academic calendar. Now, if that is our strategy in the medium term, then having a strike shouldn't be one of the issues that we should be engaging at all. And so it's actually unfortunate that both government and the teachers have not been able to manage the situation for it to generate into a strike. But I have the assurance of the leadership of the Ministry, Education and Labour, and also the teacher unions that both are committed to put the interest of the children, ahead of all other interests. I don't see the strike, moving beyond this week. I will be surprised if this issue is not resolved, by midweek. I believe that the issue can be resolved, and I believe in the commitment of both parties not to take entrenched position, but to find a win-win situation to the situation we find ourselves in, so that our basic schools can reopen as much as possible for academic work to continue.
All right then, Kofi Asare is Executive Director for Africa Education Watch. Thank you for joining us here on The Pulse. We'll keep our eyes on the negotiations going on at the Employment and Labour Relations Ministry.